What do you need to know as the alleged victim in a domestic violence criminal case that the prosecutor is probably not going to tell you? In this video, I'm going to be giving you all of the answers that the prosecutor probably won't. My name is Veronica. I'm a criminal defense attorney here in California, and I help people put their cases behind them so that they can enjoy their lives and their freedom. If you are the alleged victim in a domestic violence case where someone was arrested and there's a criminal case, you have certain rights and there are certain things that you should know that the prosecutor won't always tell you. Let's go through some of these things that the prosecutor may not tell you, may not want you to know. And the last one is arguably the most important. Number one, as the alleged victim of a crime, you are entitled to a copy of the police report. You can get it by going to your local police station and requesting it. You can also request a copy from the prosecutor. The prosecutor may not want to give it to you. If they don't want to give it to you, the likely reason for that is because they only have one copy in their file and they would have to go over to a copy machine, unstaple it, make a copy, and give you a copy. It's okay to be a thorn in the prosecutor's side and to ask the prosecutor repeatedly so that you don't have to waste your time going down to the police station to get a copy of the police report. Number two, restitution. Restitution means making you whole financially for all of the out-of-pocket expenses that you have incurred because of the case. So, medical treatment, missed work because you were at court, missed work because of the case, missed work because of getting medical treatment. All of those are things that the defendant in the case, if they ever take any kind of deal, has to pay you. They're required to. Now, the only way that they wouldn't have to is if they go to trial and get a not guilty verdict, or if the prosecution decides to just dismiss the case altogether without having any kind of penalty to the defendant whatsoever. Maybe you had to pay for parking at the courthouse. Maybe you Ubered there. Maybe it's gas. Get documentation of all of this. The prosecutor is probably not going to tell you any of this because it's a pain for them, because it's more work for them. But this is money that you're entitled to. If you're having to miss work because you're going to court, if you're having to pay, the downtown parking garage that I use in Los Angeles is $24, and you have to pay $24 every single time you come to court, then you have a right to have the defendant pay that. Really think about, if this hadn't happened, if you had never been the victim of domestic violence, if the defendant had never abused you, what money you might have that you don't currently have. Make sure that if you bring proof of that with you to court, that you don't give the prosecutor your only copy. You always want to make sure that you have your own copy of anything that you submit in court because you wouldn't want it to get lost. So definitely don't submit original receipts to the prosecutor without having your own copy. Number three, you have a right to know about what offer the prosecutor is giving to the defendant. You have a right to know about that before it happens. And actually, you can even get in contact with the prosecutor before the defendant's first court date to make sure that they know that you do want charges filed. And they may reach out to you too. A detective may reach out to you. The DA's office might reach out to you. Make sure that you listen to your voicemail, don't have your voicemail inbox completely full, don't have it not set up, and that you answer if it's an unknown number so that you can make a statement and tell them that yes, this did really happen and yes, you do want to prosecute, because about half of domestic violence arrests never result in a prosecution. They drop it before court. And if you want this thing to go to court, you want to get paid back, you want a protective order, which I'll get into in a minute, for example, without having to hire an attorney to go to court and fight for one through a hearing for you, then you are definitely going to want to make sure to answer any of those calls and make your preference known. Number four, you have the right to have up to a 10-year protective order as part of the criminal case. Okay, so there are two types of restraining orders. One is in a criminal case. The other one is one where you have to go down to the courthouse, you have to write up your statement about what happened, you have to submit it, you have to have the defendant served by a sheriff, and then you have to go to court, go in front of a judge, and ask the judge for a restraining order. And that restraining order is only up to 5 years. Now that is a whole long process. That's many hours on your part. That's a pretty big burden on you. So the other option is that if charges are filed and if the defendant ends up taking a plea or being found guilty, you can get up to a 10-year protective order as part of the defendant's sentence. As a victim, that is probably going to be preferable to you because it's so much easier and it lasts for twice as long. Number five, do you need an attorney? Okay, so I get calls as a domestic violence defense attorney from alleged victims all the time who do want to prosecute. And I used to sort of regard those calls as, hey, look, I can't help you, I'm not a prosecutor. But there actually are a lot of things that an attorney can do to help you when you are the victim of domestic violence and you do want to press charges. I can't make the district attorney's office prosecute. But if I contact the district attorney's office and say, hey, I represent this alleged victim and she does want this case prosecuted, they are more likely to go ahead and prosecute. An attorney can also go through all of your expenses, maybe come up with some that you didn't even know you had, and make sure that they are properly documented and advocate for you to make sure that you do get paid back that money. An attorney can also save you time. Some of those court dates I mentioned that you might have to go to as an alleged victim of a crime, many times you can send an attorney for you or have an attorney contact the DA's office and say, hey, is this court date really going forward? Is it necessary for my client to be there? Can I just be there and I'll give her a call if I really need her to come down to court? That is entirely possible. We can basically make your lives much easier. And if you are busy, if you do work a 9-to-5 job and you're like, hey, I don't want to take vacation days just to prosecute this case. I would like it prosecuted. I would like that 10-year protective order, but I can't just sit there for half the day because it really may take half the day with these criminal cases. I can't just take off that much time from work. It's too much. So an attorney can definitely help you with that aspect of it and make sure to save you time, make sure that your schedule is advocated for when they're setting dates in the case as well. And how do we do that? Look, as attorneys, we can go talk to the defense attorney, talk to the prosecutor, talk to the clerk, talk to the judge about what days work and don't work, about expenses that you need to be paid back for, about how you want a 10-year protective order. We can all make sure that that happens for you. And another point, and I'm half joking, but I'm half serious about this, is you are here getting information from an attorney. Have I told you something that you didn't know or that you're still not really sure how to DIY and execute? If I have, then you at least probably want to consider hiring an attorney for this. What type of attorney? Well, it's going to be a criminal defense attorney. As I mentioned, I used to not take these types of cases. I know a lot of criminal defense attorneys probably have that same mindset that I did, but if you do want an attorney, we are out there. We can definitely help you and actually be on your side and fight for you, as opposed to the prosecutor who probably just wants to do the minimum amount of work and just close the case. If you do have a criminal case in California, or if you're the alleged victim of a domestic violence case, whether you want to prosecute or not, and you want help, feel free to book a free consultation with me. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and